Alright, so this is a little different from my typical garbage videos. This is more of an informative, I guess, video. Now, I use a Logitech G600, as you could probably tell in the title and thumbnail, to play most games like DayZ, Oblivion. I guess you could do it more when any game that has like a hotkey system, or, you know, ways you could just figure out how to make the most out of it.
I'm very happy to
But
make your acquaintance.
shut up. So
The Nibanians think
the whole point of this video, though, is I have a weakness stacking build, and yeah, I'm a noob, whatever. So I have this spell, and then I also have this spell here. So weakness stacking, whatever, and then I have like a finisher, thunderclap, whatever, as well as like a summon. But I have a bunch of stuff on my hotbar here, and then as you can see, like 7 and 8, I have items. So if I need to access any of these, I don't have to tab out. And say if I kill something, say we'll summon, you know, this as an example. So I'll kill him. And I captured a soul. I want to recharge my weapon. I don't have to go in my inventory every time to, you know, access my repair hammer or my Azura Star. So what I could do is this hotkey, and then hotkey, and then there you go. So this way there's as little interruptions as possible. And the same thing for the spell casting. I mean, you could technically hotkey and then use your spells while moving the entire time. But this way, I could just toggle. I could switch my spells without even, like, lifting my hands off the keys without even thinking of it. So if I have a target, I mean, there's already a wolf there, but I could just keep spam casting on them, you know what I mean? And say, okay, I have a speed buff here that only lasts a second, so I'm going to be spamming that, which I'm trying to find here. So it's fortify speed 100 points and fortify athletics 100 for 1 second, and it has the feathered on touch to make it so I could spam it. And another quick thing too is if you hold block while spamming, it'll cast it a lot faster. So you could use this for like spamming conjuration to level it up, bound dagger, or you can make a bound dagger spell to, yeah, bound dagger for 1 second, and then feather for 1 second. So you just keep spamming at 2 costs. So just to level your conjuration, which is pretty quick, just one thing you don't have to worry about. But just gonna regen my mana quick. Now, if I'm, you know, dicking around, you can see I'm B-hopping as well. That's another keybind on my keyboard, not my mouse. But so if I'm trying to get from A to B and I don't, you know, I don't have the area discovered or something like that, I just do this, and you could just drain your fatigue, whatever. Like you'll see, so I'll wait here. This B-hop is kind of broken, so look at my fatigue here. If I hold down the B-hop, one jump uses like a quarter of my fatigue there, so if I just normally jump, it doesn't really take a whole chunk out, but if you catch an edge or something like that, it'll just drain your entire fatigue. So if you're just roaming, this is fine, but you might end up getting combat where, okay, if you're a melee character, you need that fatigue. It's kind of a pain, so I wouldn't really recommend doing it. This is kind of exploitative. You could adjust this to your own playstyle if you don't like how cheesy I'm, you know, flying around here. Obviously, you don't have to do that. But as far as like mage builds, this is very useful to be able to spam cast weakness or spam cast, say if you have like a fireball and you want to use a frost spell, but you don't want to have to, you know, push the hotkey button and then the cast button. This way you could just cycle it and do what you want. So we're going to get over to spreadsheets because we like the old night. We like spreadsheets. So let me show you this first. So yeah, hold on, one thing at a time. So the G600 is my normal mouse. Now, these are in order of the G keys. So the MMO mouse that I use is like this. So it's, what, 3x4? So that's a total of 12 inputs. And then you have a G shift, which is my third button that I use with my ring finger here, to have even more hotkeys. And I'll go over this in a second here. So with the breakdown here, so G600, this is the default, the main. So anytime I push any of these buttons, so the U spam, So that's going to be in slot 1, and you'll see use spam right here. So hopefully this lines up and this makes sense. And I have use spam for, say, if you're picking flowers. I don't really know if there's any around here, but if you want to interact spam, so say you go into a farm. Okay, there's some, I can't pick those, but I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's any around me, but if there's stuff that you could pick, like a farm, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. We'll just go to the Mages Guild real quick. So they have a bunch of alchemy stuff here. So okay, all these alchemy ingredients you want to farm, whatever. So I can just hold the spam to pick it up, and all I have to do is hover my mouse over it. Oh, it kind of gets janky when you open containers. But this way you're not spamming interact on every little thing that you're trying to collect. Again, this is probably cheesy, but if you're looking for convenience, this is huge. So, and I think I emptied my ingredients. Yeah, so these are all brand new ingredients. Obviously, the 20 poison apples there, but same with the void salts. But for the most part, these are all just like what I picked now. Except for a couple things like the arrow. I thought I emptied my guy, but I guess I didn't. But, alright, so that's the use spam. It's pretty useful. And then we have our inventory, so this way you could just, it's all it is tab. It's not actually inventory. So say if I open my stats, it's just so I don't have to move my hand over because I'm lazy. But if you're just peeking at a stat or something like that, then, you know, it's nice. I'm used to it from using, for playing DayZ. And if I'm playing in the dark and I'm checking a room, I'll just like tap my inventory open to see if there's any nearby items. So we have that, and then we also have cast spam. Now this is before I made it so it was cast spam, like the hotkey spam. So instead of like just doing this, where I'm pushing one button, it used to be, okay, I have to select hotkey 1, hotkey 2, hotkey 3, whatever, and then use the spell spam, which it's all it is just pushing C over and over and over again, which I'll show you. So if we go into Logitech, so spell spam, what is it doing? Because this is a console port, most console ports need a certain millisecond delay, and this is probably also contributed by your frame rate. So I would at least do, I wouldn't do 0.004. I would at least like maybe 5 or 50. So that'd be 0.05 seconds. That just kind of negates any issues. What if I just put 4 in? It works on my setup, but I think it depends on like what frame rates you're getting. I have G-Sync on 240 hertz. And you have to, by the way, you have to use V-Sync with Oblivion, because if you don't, like most Bethesda games don't work, which is ridiculous. But let's see here. So then I have it repeating 4 milliseconds, which that's just to keep it going and going and going and going. So that's what that looks like. And then as far as the spell casting spams, which is over here in the blue. So slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 7 and 8 are different, but 1 through 6 are the spam. And you could adjust this obviously to your play style. You don't have to do it exactly how I do it. This is just what I've gotten used to and what works fast with me. So we'll take a look at one spam. What it's doing here is it's pushing. Now you have to add these delays, but I'm literally just pushing hotkey hotbar 1 C, and then same thing with 2C or slot 2. You're selecting 2 and then C. Now again, the whole point, you have delays on here because I don't know if it's just console ports, but it won't detect. Sometimes it won't detect your input if you just have the up and down or the down and up for the key press. But I have 1 through 6 that are the spell spam. And then over here, you'll see I have 2 item slots. Like, it's just what I'm used to. You could put it wherever you want if you prefer to have them like in a more closer to the top of the list here, but whatever. So items, I usually have Repair Hammer, Azure Star. We already talked about that. And then as far as the G shift is just a toggle for more actions. And what I have there, again, you could do whatever you want. You shouldn't really need more than 12 buttons. Because again, you only have 8 slots that you could assign. So you're left with what? Like 4 additional inputs, which I usually just put like, you know, the use spam tab spell, whatever. And then I have a blank one if I really wanted to. I could put like even a free cam in there, which I'll show you how to do in a second. But the way I have it for my G shift, I have 1 through 3, which is just the tab, pretty much my stats, items, spells, which again, it's kind of pointless. I hardly ever use these, but whatever. But what's interesting about the G shift here is it's just the select. It doesn't spam cast. So say if I'm starting a build, I'm not familiar with what I put in what hotkey, and I don't want to accidentally hit an NPC with like a weakness spell because that'll algorithm. This will just select the spell. So as long as I hold G shift and then push like the 4 button, it'll equip slot 1 without casting, so I could see what it's like on the bottom hotbar. And then as far as slot 7 and 8, it's the same thing. So it doesn't, these aren't spammed. So the equipment spams, I wrote it down as spam, but it's not. I should just put 8 and then 7. And then you have to, by the way, you have to use these as a multi-key because you need that delay. You need that millisecond whatever delay. You can't do that with text block or keystroke is fine. Keystroke will work if you just want to use it as like a hotkey thing. But for some, because I think it detects the delay between the down press. But if you don't have a delay between the up press, then it's just not going to register. And then I also have, these are all on my keyboard, but so this is everything with the mouse. So this is the main point here. So all I'm doing is pushing 8, the button 8, and it's equipped aim. What slot is that? 5.
You've
Slot
got
5.
the hands of a smith. Must have spent some time
Chat.
repairing
So,
your gear.
What is it, citizen?
I'm going to show you the keyboard binds real quick. These are completely optional, but quality of life, or I guess it just makes things easier. I have the Bhop here, which is, again, 0.004 millisecond delay on the uplift. Like, so that way it detects every single input, and then it repeats 4. So all that's doing is pushing E, and then it's making me jump. And this is pretty neat for going uphill, say if you're playing, or you're trying to like complete, or you're trying to get to Azure Shrine or something like that, and you're coming from down this way. It's a lot of mountains. So Azure Shrine is this way. So I just spam cast the boost spell that I have, and then if I'm holding Bhop, I'll literally, you just have to watch your fall damage, obviously, depending on your, not athletics, your acrobatics. But you could pretty much climb straight up mountains, and if you get stuck, if you move backwards, it'll let you jump, so you could just keep doing this. Also, like I said, hold block too, it'll cast slightly a few frames faster. And again, this is pretty cheesy. If this is, you know, not your cup of tea, whatever, that's fine. But it's just considering options that you have available, or giving you ideas for tweaks and things to make the game a little less tedious at times. But so we will go back to the keyboard. Now, this is fun for cinematics. I have a bunch of commands in here. Like, let me just save so I don't mess up my legit save here. But I have a bunch of commands put in, and the way you have to put these in, you could either do it this way where, okay, you already have the console command open, and these are my toggle AIs. So it'll type these all in and paste, or, you know, enter them into the console command. You have to use 1 millisecond delay between each character. And if you want it so, okay, instead of having to go in, okay, I have to open the console command, then type these in. So, okay, there's my day commands, my clear weather commands. So if you want to make it so, oh, well, I just want to toggle free cam without having to go into my inventory, or no clip or something like that. it's kind of bugged. Like it doesn't always work all the time because it's so fast. Again, you could tweak this, but you have to do this with multi-key. So I have tilde TLC or TCL, which is a toggle collision, and then enter. And then when you get in and out of the, actually I'll fix this now. When you get in and out of the console command, you have to put some sort of delay in the tilde key. Because the typing, oh, what did I do? The typing isn't what matters. It's that accessing this menu that requires the delay. So like you could type whatever you want as fast as you want. That's fine, whatever. But when you have it, so okay, I just want to push a button and then it'll turn off and on no clip, or it'll turn off and on free cam and the toggle UI. So okay, I want to capture cinematic. I could just tap a button, or like, hey, what's this guy doing down here? I just push one button, it'll turn off the UI. So you get some cinematic stuff in there. And also a good tip too, if you're interested in doing like the free cam cinematics and you have like a burner save or like a cheat save or something like that, you could also have it so like a command for like fast cam. What this will do is it'll set all my attributes and my scale to be maximum. So this way my character will be as fast as possible. So when I access these, now I'm like super fast and okay, I don't want to die. I could just turn on no collision. Or you just turn on God mode, obviously, but like if you want to run around for whatever reason, or say you want a really slow painting cam, I have a bind for set speed to 0. Make sure you put athletics like at 50, because if you don't, it'll keep spamming you with level ups. And then I set scale to the lowest, so because speed is modified by your player scale. And obviously that's not what my scale looks like. If you go to third person and do it, that's what your guy actually, how small he actually is. So anyways, if you do the free or no clip, if you do no clip, you could walk really slow. We have a cougar there, so let me just check what processings I have. So T detect, that's all I wanted. So, and then TM is to disable menus. So now we got a slow panning shot of an NPC. And then it's a little jank if you push W8, or if you try to strafe while in this, it'll go the opposite way for some reason, and it depends on what your camera angle is. And this is exemplified by your player scale. So it gets, the more messed up your player scale is, the more jank it is. When you look up and down, you'll stop moving laterally. You'll just start moving up and down. Sorry, horizontally. But yeah, that's that. So that's pretty much about it. I know this is a little out of the norm. Oh, I gotta put my UI back on, but it just gives the ideas that, hey, if you have a MMO mouse or whatever, you could definitely do some cool things with certain, like older games. I'm sure newer games too, obviously for its intended purposes, like WoW and all that, but it just gives you an idea on what you could possibly do. So, alright, thanks for watching.